Welcome to the Daily Dish with New York Times bestselling author Leanne Ely. Putting vibrancy back into your everyday life and feeding your heart, mind, body, and soul. Join us every day at 1 p.m. Eastern for Motivational Monday, Tuesday's Tip, Wise Woman's Wednesday, Thirsty Thursday, Food Fight Friday, and of course Q&A, where no question is off limits, and Soulful Saturday. Here is your host, Leanne Ely, and the Daily Dish.
Hey, lovelies. It's so good to see everyone. Welcome, Marguerite, Doris, and Jane. Francesca's in the house. And I'm seeing a lot of Inner Circle people. You know, speaking of Inner Circle, hi, Martha. You know, we only have like 9 seats available and left. Only 9 seats. There's a whole list of things that we're doing with Inner Circle. It is our only group thing that we've got going on. Kathy's in the house. Joanne is here. Good to see you, Joanne. Hi, Martha. Bren, good to see you. Anyway, you not only are you going to get the book and the workbook that comes with it. Oh, and by the way, did you know that I sign these to everyone, every single person, because I'm saying a little prayer for you, and I'm also making sure that you see that you're seen. We see you here, and we really appreciate you, and that's part of our whole thing. That's, I believe, is the reason that we have such a successful Hot Melt Sprint group, our smaller group. I'm excited about that. But anyway, if you want to join Inner Circle, go take a peek-see at this and think maybe this is for you. It's only 12 weeks. savingdinner.com/circle for all the information. And if you're not ready, there's no worry about that. Hello, Mary Ann, because we also have the books available too. That's just separate. You can go take a look at savingdinner.com/crazy. That's what we did. We put it on crazy. How do you like that? So excited. We have a new quote of the week. It's Soulful Saturday, y'all. Always we have a new quote of the week. I love this one. Time flies, but the good news is you are the pilot. Isn't that so good? Yeah, you're the pilot. We get to direct ourselves. We are the ones that get to run that ship. I love that so much. Hi there, Tanya. It's so good to see you. Jeanette, I'm glad you're in the house. Today we're going to be talking and wrapping up our series on change. We could probably talk about change till, the next millennia, because change is such an important topic and there's so much about it. But today we're going to be talking about the paradox of change, because there is one humongous component that we absolutely 100% need to be looking at. And I'll talk about that in a minute. I will talk about that in a minute, and we're going to break it all down today. I'm excited. Anyway, here is, well, I already told you about that. September 20th is Monday. This Monday coming up, we are doing, for only the second time, our Gorgeous Skin webinar. Now, here's the thing about gorgeous skin. You don't get it in a bottle, although good skincare is super important. It starts on the inside and works its way out. We have biology on our side because our skin cells are changing every 30 days. Every 30 days. So let's take advantage of that and do the work that we need to do in order to start building beautiful skin. What do you think about that idea? At any age. It's not just for 20-year-olds. So check it out at savingdinner.com/skin. Go get your seat. Even if you can't make it on Monday, guess what? We'll send you the replay. That's how this whole thing works. So I'm excited about that, and I want you there. That's all. Period. End of story. If you attended Full Bloom last Saturday, I cannot even believe it's been a week, but if you attended Full Bloom last Saturday, we gave you a code for you to go shopping with in the store. It's giving you a full 15% off, and that includes a lot of the bundles. Take advantage of it. Go to savingdinner.com or support at savingdinner.com if you need an email to get that code again. I'm not going to give it out here because it is only for those who attended Full Bloom. We're not giving it out to everyone, Sorry, it's just how it works. Sometimes this is what we do. So you want to take care of that, because at the end of this week, it will be gone. So you want that code. And speaking at the end of this week, hi, Denise, you are never late. You are here, and that's the most important thing. Look, Sleepies. This is a phenomenal supplement, and I just highly recommend it to everyone. It's changed my sleeping. You can find it at savingdinner.com/show. That's where all the information is about the supplement. And get this, buy 3, 1 will be sent to you free. All you've got to do is put 3 in your cart and we'll do the rest. Isn't that cool? This is and this has been flying off the shelves, by the way, flying. So we've already got another order in for it. Just, remember something. We're a small batch manufacturer. Everything that you're getting from us is just made. It's not been sitting on the shelves. Do you know some of these white label manufacturers, we're not white label at all. Everything is a formula that we have. We have some like just, this is vitamin C, but come on. Everything that we have is small batch. Everything that we have is ultra fresh. That's our commitment to you, and we formulated this, but of course we have a formulator, but I got a hand in putting some of this stuff together. Sleepies is no different, and you will love exactly this formula because it has just a little bit of this and a little bit of that, and it's just the right brew, shall we say. Buy 3, get 1 free, screaming deal. Don't miss out. It goes on Sunday. And then again, I'm also going to remind you of this, that we have tools like our Take Back Your Life journal, like our mindful mug. This is the newest one. This is so cute. Look, isn't that so cute? I have Grit Not Quit. And also the quote decks, all of the things. I'm letting you know about these things. You know why? You know why I'm letting you know about them? Because this is the thing that will help you to curate and create the exact environment that you need to support the life that you want to live. Absolutely critical. This is one of the ways that we get things done. Foundational, y'all. savingdinner.com/tools. Okay. Alrighty. So what do you say we talk about change, this last part of change? I think this is one of the most important things because I will tell you from personal experience, it completely changed my life. It gave me the key to the door that I so desperately wanted to open. When we spend there's this paradox in change. Okay. That's what they call it. A paradox of change. Right. And basically this came from Carl Rogers, who was a psychiatrist, and he had more of a humanistic, if you will, approach to psychiatry, less of, well, this must mean, like sort of like Freudian stuff, like this is symbolic to everything, to more about this is your personality and this is what maybe you're about and this is why you do the things that you do. I think there's I think the psychologists and psychiatrists of yore can help us understand different things. And it is almost like a little buffet. You can kind of pick and choose the different things. But I do think that our personality does have quite an impact on the way we see the world and the way we do things. And he said this one quote. I think it's just a fabulous quote. The curious paradox about change is that when I accept myself as I am, then I can change. I've shared with you how many times my story, it being in a dressing room in Lane Bryant, when I finally decided to walk into a plus size store because I had spent so much time shaming and hating who I was because I couldn't fit into my clothes anymore. This was probably in 2000, I don't know. I'm going to say 2, 3, something like that. And I was with Marla and we went into this Lane Bryant and I bought the store. I remember I don't think I'd ever spent that amount of money on clothing before, but I spent a whole bunch and I bought matching bras and underwear. I've shared this because the sales lady came in and looked at me in my nursing bra. My kids were teens at the time and was absolutely appalled. Of course she was. And it was a light bulb moment because it was less about that. It was more about accepting myself as I was right then. And I was with this lovely lady's help. And she was letting me know just as I was right then and there, accepting and loving and getting things that actually fit, including bras, and maybe having some matching pennies, that is a worthiness exercise. That was me saying, I am fine just as I am right now today. And if things never change, then that's okay too. But at least I am loving myself as I am right now in this place. But it was at that moment, and I didn't understand it, at that moment when things started to shift. Things started to shift. I proudly put on the cute clothes that I had. I proudly put on a pretty bra and got rid of the, she actually, and one part I've never told you about, she asked me, because I had just rolled it up in the tissue, and she asked me, my old bra, she said, can I throw this thing out? I said, absolutely. Throw it out. And that's my invitation to you, is to throw out this preconceived notion of yourself that until you get to a certain place, you're not worthy of loving yourself right now today. Yeah, you want to change. I get that. Or yes, you want to change your gene size. Or yes, you want to change your vibrancy quota. Or yes, you want to change, see what's going on in your blood tests, or the pain level that you're living in, physical, maybe even mental. I get that. Hi there, Marie. Maria, good to see you. How do we get to this place then, though? How do we get to this place where we can start accepting the whole picture of where we are? It is a paradox, because on one hand, we really don't accept ourselves until we're like pushed into a corner sometimes. We don't have maybe as gentle an experience as I did in that dressing room that day. And it was a slap upside my head, and it made its mark. How many times have I told that story? Hi, Andrea. I've told that story because everybody's had a dressing room experience. Everybody's had that aha moment where you see yourself finally as you are and accept it, because you have nothing, you have no other thing to do. That's all you can do, is accept yourself. And if you don't, we fight the whole time. We fight it, we fight it, we fight it. And I have found that the more negative we look at things, and the more negative that we're looking at ourselves, and the more, negativity that we're projecting on ourselves, the worse it gets. It puts us in a place of never being able to get out. And not only that, but this idea of change is way down there on the bottom of the barrel. As much as we want that, all we can see is ourselves, and we're putting ourselves into the shame pile. Have you done that to yourself? Have you said, well, only then will I accept myself, only when I have this, only when I have that? Have you done that? Well, I have, let's see, how many things did I write down? I just wrote this for 10 things. How do you like that? 10 things that you can do to start accepting yourself as you are right now today, and getting yourself to the place where you're open to the change without the shame, without the hatred, without the putting down, without having your mind filled constantly with, oh, you don't look good, or you're not doing well, or you'll never. I've often said that we have to shift our perspective and our focus onto the solutions and not on the problem itself. But I will say that when it comes to ourselves, we have to shift to a number 6. And I'll explain that in a minute, okay? Actually, it should be really number 1, but number 6 is that we need to remember who we are and whose we are. Can we see ourselves the way God does? I don't know if we can actually see ourselves exactly the way He does, but He looks at us with loving kindness. He looks at us with loving and accepting eyes. He looks at us and sees someone that He created and put here on purpose, for purpose, right now at this time, and loves us up. And I don't think He's going to say, wait till you get out of those plus size jeans. He doesn't do that. That's what we do. We don't accept ourselves and love ourselves up the way we need to right now today. That's part of our whole thing. That's why we're saying, I want to do this, and I want to get off the carousel crazy. I want to have this and that and the other thing in our lives. I get it. We all do. But until we come to this place of absolute 100% acceptance, we can't have and don't have the ability to change because our focus is all wrong and because the way that we love and accept ourselves is just missing. Hey, Vanessa. So Carl Rogers said this, hear this again. The curious paradox about change is that when I accept myself as I am, I can change. It's unconditional positive regard for yourself. Have you done that? I mean, tell me the honest truth. Have you? Have you gotten to that place of doing that, or have you made it conditional? When you, then I'll. When you almost look at yourself as someone else. Like when I get to that place and you're looking at yourself with all of your flaws, with all of your stuff, looking in the mirror and saying horrible things. Do you do that? Do you love yourself, or do you just look at yourself and say, you know what? You are created on purpose and for purpose. Let's go. Because until we get to that place, we're not going to be able to affect the change that we want. It's unconditional positive regard, according to Carl Rogers. I think that's pretty amazing. So let's take a look at what this means. What are the things that we can do to start this radical acceptance of ourselves so that we can be in a place of then deciding, hey, I want to change this piece or this thing. Number one is we have to accept the whole picture, not the filtered version. We have a tendency to do this, and I will say, I don't know about you, but I am not an Instagram influencer, in a bikini, a mink bikini on top of a cliff, making pictures. You know how they do? And they have all these filters on and all this other kind of garbage. That's not real life, y'all. That's not what we're living. And even if we're trying to have the sleight of hand or smoke and mirrors approach to how we see ourselves, the truth is the truth. And the truth is better to accept right now today than just like leaving things out. Like maybe food addiction, for example, was something I had a hard time accepting about myself. Well, a little bit of chocolate, that won't hurt. And I told myself those lies so many times that I finally came to this come to Jesus moment where it was like, the truth about it is that every time I've tried to play in this circle of chocolate, I end up losing every single time. The fact is that I have a chocolate issue. The fact is I have a food addiction issue. Why don't I just pull back a little bit and just admit it instead of trying to play with it? That was a hard one. It took a long time. It took a really long time for me to come to terms with that. But when we do this and we accept the whole picture, that's the place of acceptance. That's the place of being able to jump off and do something about it. That acceptance is freedom. Hey there, Jennifer. Good to see you. Number two, this is a toughie. We've talked about this before, but there's this thing called self-forgiveness. You got to forgive yourself, I forgave myself for being a food addict. I used food as my drug of choice. So what? That didn't mean that I was a bad person or I had lacked self-control or willpower or motivation for change. It just meant that I was giving into that is all. And when I had a different vision and a different view of what this food addiction really was, me stuffing my feelings, me unwilling to look at things, me, pretending that none of this stuff existed, then I was able to get to this place of forgiving myself and allowing myself to see, going back to number one, allowing myself to see and accept the whole picture. And I think too that, and believe it or not, I think about not Barbara Bush. Why can't I think of her name? Married to George, George W. That Bush. But I think about her story. If you've ever heard her story, why can't I think of her name? Somebody help me out. Laura Bush. Thank you. Laura Bush, who I really admire. And Laura Bush was telling her story about how she was in a car accident that killed somebody. I don't know if she was on the way to the library or something, and she hit a woman who died. And she was talking about how she had to radically accept that this is something that happened and had to live with it for the rest of her, and still lives with it. You don't think it just went away? You don't think that, what happened affected her? But I remember that story, and I remember her talking about the radical acceptance of that horrible truth. She killed somebody in her life. And this is always where we are. We're always in this place of having to radically accept things. And I believe sometimes that when we're in the place of forgiveness being an impossible situation, like a man, being molested or raped or whatever, then we move past this forgiveness thing and quit this beating up of I can't forgive. Let that go and go to the place of radical acceptance, because radical acceptance is just accepting what happened, because you can't alter the past. We accept it, and then we're allowed to let go of it. It gives us permission to do that. I don't know if that helped you, but surely, gosh almighty, it helped me. And I learned a little bit of that from Laura Bush. You can't change the past, but you have to radically accept it, because there is no, you can't pretend it didn't happen. Yeah, it did. It did happen, and it affected a lot of people. And therefore, you go to the next step, which is, I say we all dance. And sometimes we step on toes. And this means that when we're looking at what's going on, instead of seeing ourselves from the victim point of view, realize and recognize that even if you're married to a narcissist, an alcoholic, even an active one or whatever, there's still a dance going on. There is still a dance going on. And our responsibility is not to engage and to go back into the toxic back and forthness that we all have. And I'm saying this from my own personal, point of view, because I've certainly been there. And we like to say, well, look, and here I am, and this is what he's doing to me. Well, there's a grain of truth to that, but there's also a grain of truth to, and I participated. I might not get first place in being with narcissistic behavior, but I do get a participation trophy. You see the difference? That when we participate in any way, that when we even trying to defend ourselves or whatever it is, and we're getting into this thing of whatever it is that we're trying to change, we don't have the ability to change anyone. We don't have the ability to change a situation, and we don't have the goods to even change the dance steps. We can just stop dancing, is the deal. Because the dance can be dangerous, and it can mean that we're always stepping on toes. We don't need to do that. We can opt out at any time and not participate in somebody else's toxic garbage. Amen? Number 4, when we take personal responsibility, we're looking at the mirror and we're not deflecting and blame shifting to everyone else. Our own change is our own change. And nobody is coming up to you, holding a gun to your head and saying, you know what? You're not allowed to change. I'm not going to allow you to change. I'm going to make you eat those Doritos. I'm going to make you do this. I'm going to make you not exercise. Nobody's doing that. No one. But we like to say, well, I would, but I would, but this, I can't because of this. Well, I've got all these kids. You don't understand. We deflect and don't take personal responsibility. And the fact is that when we look at it and think about what we talked about, earlier this week about the creative changes and being creative, and how creativity is sometimes the instigator of change. That's the thing that we need to be looking at. What if I did this instead? What if I created this? What if I got up a little bit earlier? What if? That's taking personal responsibility. It's not saying I can't because of him. I can't because of them. I can't because of, my circumstances, my job, my this, my that. We all have something, but it's she who is creative is the one who gets it done, and gets done in the way that she wants to. Maybe not perfectly, but certainly excellently, right? I love this. And number 5 is humble pie. I think we need to all eat a big piece of it, because it will allow us to be led and to see things clearer. If you want to see a bunch of know-it-alls, go to Facebook, and suddenly everybody is an expert on infectious disease and weather and all sorts of things. It's just unbelievable the amount of gall that's out there. Well, I say eat a big piece of humble pie and just sit back. Let the experts be experts. Don't you do it, because you're not. Either am I. Let's be teachable. Let's look for those moments of allowing others to do things. And certainly, I'm always going to say to you, do your research, right? Of course. We know that MD does not stand for medical deity, for example. Is there a conversation we can have? Do you have that doctor who will converse with you? Are you going prepared to see your doctor and bringing the literature, the latest literature to show, hey, this is something that I'm interested in? It makes all the difference in the world. Hi, Cheryl. And number 6, remember who you are. We've already talked about that. Remember who you are and whose you are. At the bottom of all of this pile of stuff, this paradox of change, is the fact that you were hand-selected by God himself to be here right now on this earth at this time. You weren't selected to be here, 200 years ago for whatever reason. Now, this time, here, listening to this. Why? What do you think it is? I look at this and just, it awes me when I think about just little old me sitting here in my little old office, and here we are, learning together and making decisions about our lives to keep pushing that ball down the field, because that's how vibrancy is created. And we do that for each other. I mean, it's one of the reasons I'm so excited about Inner Circle. I'm watching all the messages pop up. We have a Slack channel just for that, and how excited people are for this next part of their journey. We get to level up when we make a decision that we're going to level up. And maybe when we remember who we are and whose we are, there's a tap on our shoulder like, it's time. It's time to level up. It's time to be, the creative force in your own life. You believe in that? I sure do. Number 7, doing the best you can right now doesn't mean or imply that nothing can change. It's just a signal, right? Because have you ever been in that place of just absolute frustration and you're saying, I'm doing everything that I can possibly do, and nothing's changing, nothing's shifting? I'm in a fasting group, several of them, several fasting groups. I am in this one thing, and this woman is saying, it's been 30 days. I've been doing all the things correct. What's going on here? When is it all going to change? And when we don't get the change that we want immediately, we have to have patience with it. And even after 30 days, we have to have patience with it. We need to continually analyze what the heck is going on. And that doesn't mean that we're unhappy or whatever, or that we're frustrated or that it's not working. It just means we're being analytical. Maybe there's one thing out of place. Maybe there's one little adjustment that needs to be made to just open the whole thing up. That's how it works. There's a story in a book I'm reading. What's the name of this book? How to Change. Okay. And this book, it has a story about this guy named Eric, who is a smoker, just had his first child, and he's been trying to quit. It's not working real well for him. He's having a heck of a time, and his wife occasionally smells the smoke on him, or a coworker finds him or whatever. And he's shame-filled because of this, because he's thinking, I should be able to do this. The willpower is not working. So he shifts everything up. And he makes what he calls idiot cards. And he implores his coworkers to get pictures of him smoking. Pictures of him smoking where it's not so pretty, where it shows a double chin, or he's, making some kind of a funny face and then putting some little thing about smoking on there. And that show the idiot cards all over. Now, I mean, choice of words, these are his choice of words, by the way, not me saying this guy's an idiot. These are the choice of words. And it started to shift the way he looked at this quitting smoking project. He started taking it a little less seriously and started making fun of himself. to shift it from blame and shame to a place of like, this is a joke. This is idiotic. Why am I doing this? Do you see the difference here? He also needed reminders on why this was dumb. And he put his idiot cards everywhere. He put them in the bathroom at work. He put them over his desk. He had them everywhere, everywhere. I love that because it's a reminder. This is, again, curating your environment to set it up for absolute success. We do this with our quote decks. We do it with our mindful mugs. We even do it with our journals because every single day we're in them, right? So I love that. He also changed the script at the same time as he did this. He went from shame and to poking fun at himself. What if we just laughed a little bit? Like, that's kind of silly. That's crazy. We laugh at it instead of taking it so darn seriously. I thought that was just absolutely brilliant. And the last thing I would say about this is like doing the best that you can. Take charge. You're the boss of your own life. You're the queen of your own life, hopefully. Because if you do it your way and stop listening, on one hand, yes, we need to be listening to experts, but on the other hand, we need to adjust things to fit what works for our lives. Suppose you work swing shift or something and somebody's saying, you need to be up at 6 o'clock every morning doing calisthenics. Does that work for you if you work swing shift? No, it doesn't. You're still in bed sleeping because you didn't get home until midnight or so. And do you see, are you following where I'm going with all of this? You got to do it your way. And you got to give yourself that modicum of grace to be able to see things that way. Number 8, remember this, resistance happens. When we start to change things, we're going to put up a fight. That's part of it. Resistance is a part of this whole dealio. James Clear says it's in proportion to the size and speed of change, not whether or not it's favorable or unfavorable. In other words, backsliding is inevitable. I always hear, I've fallen off the wagon and, I'm trying to get back up and I'm trying to do all of this. And I say that there really is no wagon for, the hot melt or the sprint way or any of that. There really is. There's just some principles. You want to live those principles. You want to take them with you. You want to sprint here and then not sprint over here. That's fine. You don't have to always sprint, but maybe you take those principles with you. This is what I'm going to do because this works for me. Back to that whole thing, take charge and do it your way. Isn't there so much freedom in that? There are massive amounts of freedom in that. This is how we get past the place of resistance and start making these little incremental changes. And number 9 is rely on small wins to combat number 8. Small wins. I love small wins. Piggybacking on a habit that is already well established is a good one. That's a good thing that we need to do and can do for ourselves. We can do, when we look at workouts, when we're thinking, I got to get dressed, I need to go to the gym, it's going to be an hour, it's going to be brutal, it's going to be awful. And that's resistance right there. How about instead, hey, I've got 5 minutes, and I've got a pair of small weights, I'm going to do a 5-minute arm thing on YouTube for free, don't have to leave the house. What about that? Small win. Those are the things that we can do. A little bit more and a little bit less of beating ourselves up and a little bit more of just this one thing. Tiny wins make everything, Number 10 is work with, not against. Work with what you already have. Like I said, piggyback on a behavior. What do you already have established? What good thing do you look at in your life and say, this is really great. I got this thing down. Then what can you add to it that adds to that kind of vibrancy that you want, that little bit of change that you're looking for? Because there is a paradox of change here, a paradox. On one hand, you want this big change in your life. On the other hand, you have to accept right where you are right now today. Weird, right? But if you think about it, it all makes sense because that acceptance is your launch pad. That acceptance is the place that takes you out of the dressing room with a brand new bra on, feeling like, girls are up, I'm ready to go. I'm ready to take on this world. Worked for me, it can work for you. I promise you. because this is how humans roll. We need just one little tiny victory, one little acceptance of who we are, and one little dose of loving ourselves up a little bit. It's necessary and it's time. What do you say to that? Pinkies up? I say yeah. Peace be with you. That's all I got for you today. I hope you have a fabulous Sunday. I will be on the lake, hopefully with no rain coming all day long. I might be waterlogged on Monday, but we'll be back on Monday talking about Motivational Monday. I hope to see you then. And don't forget, get signed up now for the skincare webinar. It's coming up. savingdinner.com/skin. Peace be with you. Bye.
Thanks for watching. You can find us on YouTube on the Saving Dinner channel or on the Saving Dinner Facebook page. Check back daily for new episodes, Monday to Saturday at 1 p.m. Eastern. If you missed the live show, you can watch the replay. Until next time, pinkies up.